Have you ever wondered why you behave the way you do with money? And even after setting goals and a budget for yourself, some habits kind of like tend to get in the way of your money and your financial success. That's probably because of your money personality and your money EQ. Just the same way we have temperaments like extroverts and introverts, we also have money personalities that originate from your money EQ. Your money EQ is ideally your emotional intelligence when it comes to money matters. It reflects your personal beliefs about money, your thoughts when you think about money, and even how your subconscious mind makes money decisions. And it's so important to know your money personality, and I'm gonna take you through that today. So stick around to the end of this video to find out what your money personality is and what are some of the habits that you need to work on or improve on if you want to be successful in personal finance. So let's get straight into it, guys. So before we get into the personalities, it's important to understand why you need to know what your money personality is. You see, success in personal finance, and I've said this before, is literally 20% head knowledge and 80% your behavior with money. And I'm going to prove this to you. Let me know in the comment section down below. How many times have you known what to do and you just don't do it? We know we are supposed to budget. We know we are supposed to track our expenses. We know we are supposed to kind of like get out of debt and be aware of where our money is going. That's head knowledge and we have it. But do we practice those things, okay? So your money personality gets in the way of these things because money, or rather your success with finances, is ideally it's not about what you know, it's about what you practice, and it's about how you behave with money. So as I break down these personalities, I hope that you can take some notes and see whether you can identify where you lie. You may have more than one of these personalities, so we are not boxing you. We are not putting people under one big blanket of a personality. My hope is with this video today is to create that awareness, just so that you can say, oh, okay, yeah, I have this tendency to do this. And I'm also going to be highlighting if this is your personality. What should you have in mind, or what are some of the habits you can start working on and improving on? And maybe one last thing I need to mention before we get into the personalities. You need to know that this is not an overnight thing. You cannot change your personality overnight, or your money personality, or your relationship with money overnight. But change starts with awareness. Once you're aware, then you can give yourself some time, get some resources, get some tools to actually help you to work on the negative aspects of your personality. It's not everything that's negative. You have, in every personality, there's a good thing, hopefully. So we just want to kind of like identify the things that are not working for you with regards to your money personality, and then now start working on that. So it's all about money mindset today. So the first money personality is the person we call the compulsive spender. Now, if you're a compulsive spender, just from the word, you spend uncontrollably, even on things that you do not need. A compulsive spender generally will have like an outgoing personality. Actually, most sanguines end up being compulsive spender. If you are a very outgoing person, you love being around people, you love being the life of the party, you love to be admired and applauded, these people always end up spending compulsively. A compulsive spender will spend whether they have money or whether they don't have money. A compulsive spender also will mostly spend when they are not emotionally okay. Like when you're in emotional distress, you're stressed out, you're bored, or you just like, you're not okay emotionally. Retail therapy is your go-to. There's a reason we call it retail therapy. And also, if you're a compulsive spender, you will spend even when in debt. For you, it's never about, do I have the money or not? It is, where am I getting the money? So if it merits taking out loans, right? Borrowing money, Once you get into that space where I need to spend, nothing can get you out of that. That's why we call it compulsive. So you're just spending uncontrollably. Now, if you are a compulsive spender, I have 2 recommendations for you. Number 1, you need to find healthy ways to deal with your emotions. A lot of compulsive spenders spend emotionally. So you're either spending when you're very happy, or you're spending when you're very sad, or you're spending because you want people's approval, you're spending because you have admiration. It's all about feelings. Okay? So money has become your outlet for feelings. So that's my first recommendation. You need to actually be in a place or a position to get healthy ways to process your emotions. You've attached money to your feelings. So you need to separate I always tell people, separate your heart from your hustle. These 2 things shouldn't mix, money and emotions. So you need to find healthy ways, whether that is when you're sad, talking it out, learning to sit with your emotions and your feelings, and also not caring so much what people think about the fact that you've not paid the bill today, or you're not buying drinks for them. Learn to manage your emotions in a healthy way. The second recommendation, you need to automate your savings and investments. What does that mean? And even your debt repayments. Automating just means putting a standing order. Listen, guys, you know yourself. You've been with yourself for all these years, and you say you're gonna save or pay that debt or invest, but then when the money comes into your account, it's just, chop that money, okay? So now, because you already know that about yourself, stop trying to fight your personality. Just be smart about it. Put standing orders in such a way that when your money comes in or your salary comes in, 5,000 is going into this debt, another 5,000 is going into this savings account, so that whatever money is left in your account, you can actually spend it guilt-free. So those are my recommendations for the compulsive spender. So the second personality is the indifferent to money. Now, this personality type is quite interesting. They do not like anything about thinking about money, processing money, creating a budget. The bare minimum makes them tense, and they are actually anxious. This person thinks that we are over dramatic when we are talking about budgeting and investing all the time. They are very that is not something that rings a bell to them. They prefer to go with the flow. They just prefer to kind of when I have money, I'm going to spend. If there's no money, I'm just going to survive. They don't like planning about money, thinking about money, and it's just stressful to them. As a matter of fact, they prefer to go about life not over obsessing or thinking about money. Now, obviously, guys, there's pros and cons to this. The pros is that if you're lucky, you're never gonna get stressed out about money, because obviously going to the other extreme of always worrying about money, that's a problem. However, the disadvantages of being indifferent to money are much greater, because when you're indifferent, you know nothing about what comes in, what goes out, where it's going. When you're indifferent to money, you're not curious about how you can grow and multiply it. When you're indifferent to money, you're not trying to budget and plan. And so some of these things will fall in the cracks. You won't be able to identify spending loopholes or ways in which you can grow. And eventually, if you continue with that behavior, or with that kind of you're in that mind space, there's a very high possibility that things will not work out very well for you when it comes to finances. So the first recommendation for someone who finds themselves very indifferent to money, like you're unbothered, the first thing is to figure out, why are you unbothered? Is it because you feel like this is too much for you and you're not equipped or enabled to take on money and personal finance? So if it's out of fear, or it is out of a feeling of inadequacy, that can be worked on. Guys, I keep telling people there's absolutely no shame or no guilt in being a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old who knows nothing about personal finance. You were not taught these things in school. They didn't prioritize it in the curriculum. So it's okay, even if you don't know where to start. I always tell people, no one expects you to just know what to do. These things are not obvious. I know you might be looking at people and you're like, oh my God, these people are just so good with money and I'm not. That's a mindset that you need to change. So first of all, identify why you're so indifferent. And then the second thing, start incorporating baby steps. So you don't need to do everything right now. Start with simple keeping of your receipts and just figure out at the end of the month, where did my money go? Start with simple tracking of your expenses. If you miss a day or two, it's okay. Start with setting up simple accounts or attacking your debt step by step. So start with baby steps. You cannot be indifferent about money. Money controls so many things. I mean, for you to even get proper health care today, if you're sick, you need money. For you to be able to afford even like food therapy, you need money. Like very few things in this life don't require money. So you can't be indifferent about it. The third money personality is the warrior. Just from this word, the warrior worries about money. It doesn't matter whether you have money or you don't. When you have money, you're worried about losing it. When you don't have money, you're worried about not having the money. The warrior also kind of like gets tense when we are talking about financial goal setting, planning for the future. And generally, your overall relationship with money is worrisome. Like you're always worried about money. And this is, sometimes this comes from a place of a scarcity mindset. You're always worried about, there's never enough to go around. Or like for me, and this is one of the things I struggled with. I've shared my story before on this channel. I grew up poor, and because of that, I grew up worrying about money because we never had enough. So I've had to work on my mindset around worrying about money and to kind of like practice abundance. And maybe in a future video, we can talk about the abundance versus scarcity mentality. But this is something that I've had to work on myself. And one of the tips that in fact, this is the only tip I have if you are a warrior. Number one, identify the source of your worry. Is it that money is never enough? Is it that money is going to end? Right? And then work around that. Stop feeling so helpless about money. One thing I can guarantee you is that we are all kind of like in a position of being worried about money. You're not alone, but also don't internalize worrying about money that much. Try seeing what are some of the things you can learn. Like for me, budgeting has really worked well to quiet my worries. Nowadays, every time I'm stressed out about money, I take out my Excel sheet and I'm like, as long as it makes sense on this Excel sheet, all these are just stories. They are lies. It's my mind playing games on me. I can afford this or I need to wait on this. If your worry comes from a place of, I don't know that I can earn enough, start empowering yourself to make money in terms of like upskilling, in terms of just even going online and getting free resources. Identify where the worry stems from and start covering those cracks, okay? We also have a compulsive saver. So you see, the same way we had a compulsive spender, we also have a compulsive saver. This person, I mean, it sounds like a good personality, it is, but it has its cons, okay? So the compulsive saver is so afraid of losing money or spending money, and all they do is save, save, save. And you know who was a compulsive saver? Me here. Because again of worry and growing up poor, I used to really hoard a lot of money. So I mean, so many times I've been walking around looking homeless. Like my hair is undone, and not because I don't have the money for it. My clothes are not looking so good. I should just probably buy something and look decent out there, but I'm not gonna do it. Why? Because I'm afraid that if I spend this money, it's gonna end. So the compulsive saver will not spend on themselves, and that actually gives you a hate relationship with money. Y'all are not happy. Compulsive savers are not happy. In fact, you judge people. You see people traveling, you're judging them. Someone bought a new phone, you're judging them. Someone has bought a new car, you're like, oh, atani alone. I mean, you know what? You need to chill. You need to start spending money on yourself so that you stop hating everyone who's comfortable spending money on themselves. Now, that is on a light note. A more dangerous thing about the compulsive saver is because of their fear of losing money. They actually don't invest. This person has the money in M-Pesa. These are the kind of people who will have hundreds of thousands in their M-Pesa and M-Shwari. You just want to see your money in the bank account. You don't want to put it in an MMF. You don't want to buy bonds. You have it. You just, like, your joy is seeing your money in an account somewhere and you're feeling secure and safe about it. Listen, if you've been here long enough, you know that's risky. If your money is just sat somewhere, it's uninvested, you can't grow and you can't multiply. So if you're a compulsive saver, again, look at where that comes from. As I told you, for me, that came from a place of growing up poor. But then again, the more I've educated myself, and guys, listen, an investment in education will always pay you the best return. Okay, so educate yourself about budgeting, educate yourself about investing. Okay, I do have actually a masterclass that is dedicated to someone who wants to invest from scratch. Okay, and I'm gonna link it down below. It's a class that I've taught, a 3.5 hour class. So if you're a beginner and you're afraid, I've taken you through the low risk investments, the medium risk investments, and the high risk investments that you can consider. Stop having your money seated in your mobile money account or in your bank. You need to go out and you need to allow your money to be invested and to grow. So if you're a compulsive saver, that's the recommendation I would give you. So the saver splurger is another interesting money personality. This person has no problem saving at all. They'll save, and they'll be very dedicated for a duration of time. And then guys, note this, one thing happens and they liquidate that entire account to do. So they save, like there's nothing wrong with that. But then they are not very intentional about how to spend or how to organize the savings. So they save and therefore, and then after saving, they splurge just out of nowhere. Something comes up and they're like, oh, but I had this money. And they spend it. And saver splurgers have a love-hate relationship with money because they always constantly feel very disappointed in themselves. And I get so many people in my DMs telling me, Coach, I save. Like I have nothing against saving, but then one day I'll just wake up and something comes up and I spend that whole amount, and then I end up having to start from scratch again. So they save and they withdraw, they save and they withdraw. So over a number of months or even number of years, they have nothing to show for it. So they remember saving, but then they have nothing to show for it because they keep withdrawing. Now, if you're a saver splurger, this is my recommendation for you. Number one, do goal-based saving, okay? Separate. These are the people that should have separate accounts. So if you, first of all, identify what you splurge on. If it's clothes, if it's travel, that's probably an indication that you should set an account that is separate from these other important savings like emergency funds and your sinking funds. Have an account for your wardrobe needs if that's where you tend to splurge. Have an account for your travel. Have an account for your big days like birthdays. There are people who are really big on their own birthdays, their partners or their friends' birthdays. Identify where you splurge. Once you're able to identify where you splurge, separate that money from your other investments so that if I'm saving for this thing that I love to splurge on and I take out money from that account, I will spend it guilt-free. Why? Because I know that this money was specifically put in place for that particular thing that I would want to splurge on. And then you will also not compromise on your other more serious goals by consuming that amount of money. So it's very, very important. In fact, if you're a saver splurger, that's a very effective way to tackle that. Do goal-based savings. So separate your savings accounts. Have your emergency fund completely separate and put some respect on it. Okay? If you're saying this is an emergency fund, have a list of things that merit a withdrawal from that account, okay? So if it's clothes, definitely that doesn't merit a withdrawal from that account. Like, start putting some respect on your money. I said this in a previous video, maybe 2 weeks ago. Money flows where it's respected. So if you don't respect your money, you'll definitely keep saving and withdrawing. And what are you doing? You'll have nothing to show for it. So take out the areas, identify the areas in which you splurge, take that money and put it in like a specific account where you can spend guilt-free. And then now put some other serious accounts and automate those accounts and make it as hard for you as possible to withdraw from these accounts. So the other personality that we have, and this one blows my mind all the time, is the compulsive moneymaker. Now listen to this. The compulsive moneymaker actually believes that earning more money is the secret to happiness. So these people attach their self-worth, their value as a person to how much money is in their bank account or how much money is in their pocket, or literally they draw their self-worth from even the admiration that comes from people when they're like, oh, so-and-so is so successful. He drives this car, he works this job, he makes this much amount of money. That is the most important thing to this person. So how do you know you're a compulsive money maker? Number one, You will compromise on your values and your morals. It does not matter. Anything that is in the way of your money goes. Like if money is on the table, nothing else matters. So these people will compromise a lot to make money, because for them, the thing that matters most is how much money can I make. The second way to know that you're a compulsive money maker is that you'll even compromise on your own health and wellness. Okay, so these people will work themselves to death, right? They will be needing to take breaks, but they will not take the breaks. The other thing about the compulsive money maker, and this is the saddest bit of it, they will compromise even on important relationships in their lives. So your spouse is constantly asking you to be home, and you're like, nawatengenezea pesa, unataka nifanye nini kwa nyumba? You know, I'm making you money, I need to make money for the children. So you don't see that staying home with your children and them knowing their mom or them interacting with their father is important. For you, the most important thing is that you're providing for them. So you compromise on that relationship. Even your spouse, I mean, it's like, do you want me here or do you want the money that I bring? So it's almost like you don't see that you can have both. Like you're not willing to compromise on some amounts of money. You're not willing to compromise on, you know, saying no to maybe that project or that trip to stay home. So you really, like, you don't value relationships in your life, or you don't prioritize them above money. So money for you is everything. That's very risky. These are the kind of people that if anything ever happened to that money or your ability to make an income, maybe you get into an accident, you're now on a wheelchair, or you lose your job, or you get into a big business deal and you lose that money, these are the kind of people that commit suicide. These are the kind of people that do not see a life beyond the money they had or this value they attach to this thing. And that's a really dangerous place to be. I keep telling people, if you place your happiness and your worth around something as fleeting as money, and I call money fleeting, you know why? Because money comes and goes. So if my joy and my worth as a person is attached to it, it means that my joy and my value and my worth and my mental health will be coming and going. So the more the money is there, the better I feel. But the moment my money is threatened, I'm now walking around looking like an insane person. I'm fighting with everyone in my life. I cannot sleep. Like, that is not a healthy relationship with money. Now, I do understand that a lot of this comes from a place of lack and all that. But again, remember that you want to have a healthy relationship with money. Money is a tool. It is not the life. Money is a means to an end. Attach what it is that you want. For me, money means freedom. It means even having the ability to spend more time with my children or spend more time with family, be able to pursue passion projects, but it is not everything. Don't attach your entire value as a person, as a man, as a woman, as a provider to this fleeting thing called money. Start working on drawing your worth as a person and your value as a person from other things. You know, there are things that make you a valuable person outside of money, that you're a good wife, a good husband, a good brother, a good sister, a present parent, a present spouse. You're a respectable person. Like, there are so many other things from where you should draw your value from, not just money. Money is too fleeting for it to define your entire existence. The last money personality is the gambler. Now, gamblers share very common traits with the money makers, the compulsive money makers, and the compulsive spenders. Why? Because for them, it's about the thrill. So they're very thrilled, like, to make money and the thrill of also like spending that money. In a gambler's mind, they're just wondering, why are you people worried about money? Like, there's so much to go around. The gambler thinks, today I may not have money, but tomorrow I will have money. So they don't worry about, like, am I being responsible by spending this money? Am I being responsible by putting up this bet? Am I being responsible when I take literally everything that I have between me and poverty and spending it on this thing? Gamblers think that it's never that serious, okay? I'm going to make money today and I'm going to spend it tomorrow. And if I spend it tomorrow, there's always a possibility I will make it back the other day. So if you're a gambler, a lot of the times we do this is, one, of course, because it helps us escape boredom. Okay, gambling also kind of like, it's very emotional, and gambling is actually up there with drug addiction. So if you find yourself with gambling tendencies, this is another thing that I always recommend. Obviously, doing a lot of soul searching to first of all identify, why are you so interested in this thrill? And I'm not saying you shouldn't have it. All I'm saying is that if it is causing issues with your money, if it is causing issues with your family and your relationship, if it's the reason why today you're in debt, if it is the reason you have no savings and investment, then you need to have an important conversation with yourself. As you guys have seen, there's a lot to be discussed about money personalities. But I hope that as I've been highlighting them, maybe you can let me know in the comment section down below. Where did you identify yourself? As I shared with you guys, for me, I have a lot of compulsive saver and a bit of, sometimes I also think that I'm a compulsive money maker, but that is also something that I've been working on. And for me, I've already identified the root. The root has been, I grew up poor, and therefore money for me, I'm still working on developing that abundance and just not being in a mental state where I think that money is scarce and it's going to end one day and I'm going to go back to poverty. So how have I been dealing with? If you pray, this is something that I do every time, like just asking God to fix that and to help me to realize that I'm not the one who does it for myself, like He's the one who provides for me. The second thing that I've done is definitely being in therapy and talking about all these traumas I had, kufukuzwa shule juu ya school fees, and just releasing all these things so that I start having a healthy relationship with money. So once you identify, I'm also encouraging you to go online, Google and read about these personalities and try see a baby step or two that you can start implementing this year so that you can improve and have a healthy relationship with money. A healthy relationship with money is the fine line between you enjoying and having like a good experience in your personal finance or not. Note that I've not said amount of money. I've said your relationship with money and your mindset with money. That contributes to 80% of your success in personal finance. I hope you found this video insightful. Share it with your friends. Leave a comment down below and turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.